Welcome to the CU Scoop. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukesthescoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukesthescoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have not already done it, go look in the description and you will see at the bottom there is a link for you to become a member of the page. We have members only chats. It's also a way to support me and what I do. So, hey, man, if you feel it in your heart, let's go. Today's episode is brought to you by MDJ Originals. MDJ Originals. I'm pretty sure that you've seen it, but there go right there. It ain't nobody colder than this dude when it comes to making gear. He's the coldest, dog. The coldest, and it's a crew sweatshirt with the front pocket. You probably be seeing me wear this a lot for sure. All right, but let's get down to business. My man Lajohntay Wester. We talked about Shador. We talked about Jimmy Horn. You know we had to come talk about my boy Jonte. We're gonna talk about Trav too and his fit. But man, when you talk about somebody else who has a great fit where they are, Lajohntay Wester has an amazing fit with the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so he just finished up his rookie minicamp last weekend. Took me a while to get here, but I did want to show him some love and say and in the week following, this is what's being said about him. Before we get to that, let's talk about the depth chart. So right now, according to our lads, who I think they got probably the most comprehensive depth chart out there. Before the teams put them out, they just kind of take common sense, but they got a ton of resources. So a lot of people use our lads. So shout out to them. Um, Wide receivers, the starting receivers would be DeAndre Hopkins in a three wide receiver formation. DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman. So Hopkins is an unrestricted free agent. He signed with them. Veteran, we all know Nuke Hopkins. Rashad Bateman, who was a first round pick in 2021. Zay Flowers, who's your Pro Bowl wide receiver, um, first round pick in 23. Those are your three starters. When you get to the second, to the twos, you got Tylan Wallace. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tylan Wallace, who was a fourth round pick in 2021. Devontae Walker, who was a fourth round pick in 24. And then in the slot, you got Lajohntay Wester, sixth round pick this year. They got three other receivers: Malik Cunningham, former quarterback out of Louisville, um, Keith Kirkwood, came from New Orleans, and you've got Anthony Miller out of San Fran a few years ago. And also, when you go down a little further, they go four deep. You got Xavier Guillory, Jamal Banks, both of these guys this year. Um, Dayton Wade and Ozzie Hutchinson. Excuse me, Ozzie Hutchinson is not in there. Yeah. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 wide receivers right now. And if you had to rank them, you probably had to go Lajohntay at 5 or 6. They'll probably roll with 6, probably keep a couple on the practice squad. So how's this good for Lajohntay Wester? All right, Todd McShay. We all know Todd McShay, longtime ESPN analyst, the guy who released the information about Brian Daboll and Shador Sanders. A lot of people were upset about it. I never got upset with Todd McShay because he only told what people wanted told, in my opinion. He wouldn't have said it unless somebody wanted it to be said. Um, so okay, whoever leaked that knew what he was gonna do because that's what he does. He does it every year. And when somebody does something that he's pretty much made a living off of, I don't really. All right, that's what he does. Cool. But this is what Todd McShay had to say about Lajohntay Wester. So take it as you may. This is what he had to say. Let's see what my man Todd McShay had to say. So this is from the Baltimore Ravens website. They ran this yesterday, I believe. The headline says Todd McShay believes rookie Lajohntay Wester can make an impact at wide receiver. The article reads, 6th-round pick Lajohntay Wester is the leading candidate to be the Ravens punt returner. Let's stop there. 6th-round pick Lajohntay Wester is the leading candidate to be the Ravens' punt returner. We'll come back to that. But analyst Todd McShay believes the Colorado product can be more than that. McShay said Wester has the talent to secure a role as the team's number 4 receiver behind Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and DeAndre Hopkins. This is his direct quote from the McShay show. Wester's a tough little nugget. I'm telling you, he's going to get in the Ravens receiving room and be like, hey, I can play on this team. I'm telling you he can. He's going to get his shot. The article continues. Despite Wester's 5'9", 170-pound frame, I think he's about 5'10", but we'll let him have that. And that's not McShay saying that. McShay added that Wester played with toughness in college. This is another direct quote from McShay. And I watched it when he said it on the show, so 1,000% these are accurate quotes. Colorado had bigger guys, they had faster guys, but it was always Wester getting the tough yards in the pinch. If they were double teaming or rolling covers to Travis Hunter, he showed up, and he's been doing it for a while. Just nobody knew about it. For Buff Nation, you knew. Anybody who followed Colorado last year, you knew, and Florida Atlantic, you knew what you were getting in Lajohntay Wester. McShay noted that Wester caught 108 passes for 1,168 yards and 8 touchdowns in 23 at Florida Atlantic, where he played 4 seasons before transferring to Colorado. In his lone season with the Buffaloes, Wester had 74 catches for 931 yards and 10 touchdowns. He finished his 5-year career with 326 catches, the sixth most in FBS history. All right, so that's sounds like pretty high praise from a guy who wasn't. Well, let me say this. I can't say McShay all he did was reported what he knew or what somebody told him, not what he knew. He got a report and he ran with it. So I know a lot of people in Buff Nation were like, man, screw that guy. And I did want to say that these words came from him, and the Ravens put that on their website. So clearly, but something that was in that article that he didn't say that the Ravens website put out is that he's the leading candidate to be the Ravens punt returner. I'm going to pin that one. There's one more article I wanted us to go through, also from the Ravens website. All right, this article is by Ryan Mink. Okay, Mink had a really good interview with Wester after the rookie minicamp. The article reads, Lajohntay Wester knows a thing or two about being in the spotlight. He talks about Colorado. Look, I like this. With the national TV audience watching and 2 seconds left in a dogfight between Colorado and Baylor, Wester lined up for a Hail Mary. He knew Baylor wasn't going to let Travis Hunter catch the ball. They probably weren't counting on the Buffs 5'9" receiver to come up big. They keep calling my boy 5'9", man. I think he's 5'10", man. Jonte, man, they robbing you, man. Wester shook off a defender to make a miraculous diving touchdown catch as time expired to force overtime in the game that Colorado eventually won. It was his signature moment, but one that didn't surprise Wester. All right, now this is a quote from Wester asked about this at Ravens rookie minicamp. After he's already out there balling, they ask him this, and this is what he says. At the end of the day, in my eyes, it was just me making a play. To other people, it was a clutch play. And they probably would never imagine a guy like me, a small guy, to be able to make a big-time play like that. But to me, it's nothing new. I'm very confident in my game. All right, cool. Mink goes on to say, even though he's a 6th-round pick, Wester could be put in the spotlight as a Ravens rookie as the team's primary punt returner. It's a unique job, one that requires a calm demeanor, confidence, and, of course, elusiveness. If that ain't Lajohntay Wester, in a few words, who is it? I'm telling you, this is the guy, man. Um, he was sent. Mink also says that Wester was special teams coach Randy Brown's of the Ravens' favorite returner in the draft. Man, that's crazy. This is him talking about returning punts. I took it serious then. Now, this is Lajohntay after he was fielding punts repeatedly, looked very smooth, had a really good minicamp when it came to just returning punts, catching the punts, putting them in different situations. They had him where he was facing the opposite way, got a count, boom, had to turn around, find the ball in the air, make the punt, receive the punt. Not even his return, but just do you have sure hands? Reason being, the Ravens last year were in the middle of the pack when it came to punt return average, but I think they led the league in punt return fumbles, if I'm not mistaken. They were in the top 5, if not, but they were right at the top. I know they had at least three punt return fumbles last year. That ain't gonna fly. So that's another reason I think Lajohntay Wester is in a really good situation because not only does he provide value as a very shifty receiver, but this was a team that was in need of a punt returner. And kickoff, like Jimmy Horn can do a little bit of both. Lajohntay is really a punt returner. Now he can do some kick returning too, but Jimmy Horn is your kickoff return guy. They need it, and they probably have him return punts too in Carolina. But Lajohntay is like a born punt returner. But let's hear Lajohntay talk about that. So he was told coming out. Now this is back to Ryan Mink's report. He was told coming out of high school that with his smaller size, he was going to have to make a mark on special teams to realize his NFL dreams. This is Lajohntay's response. I kind of took it serious then, and I got comfortable with it. I took it with the same seriousness as I take receiving. In Little League, I always had the quickness, the moves. I just got bigger, stronger, faster, and more confident. Now I'm putting it all together now for the big time. Man, I love this article. Please, y'all go look at this article by Ryan Mink of the Baltimore Ravens on Ravens.com. They go on and talk about his stats. Wester averaged nearly 16 yards per punt, scored 2 touchdowns over his final 2 college seasons. He also feels like he can contribute as a receiver after racking up the 6th most catches in FBS history. We know that. 931 yards. We know that. We know that. All right. This is what I like. When he finally got that call that he was going to the Ravens, all he could say was, LJ, I'm on the way. Speaking of Lamar Jackson. So when you talk about somebody who's a fit, the wide receivers in front of you, nobody's really just taking their harness of being the 2 receiver. You hope it's Nuke Hopkins. I know he can learn a ton from him. You look at Rashad Bateman, a bigger bodied receiver who has done well, but not really. They continue to draft first round receivers because they don't have that upper echelon guy. Lajohntay Wester strikes me as a guy because of how well he catches the ball, the shiftiness, his route running ability to be able to get open in man or zone, his cool, calm demeanor. Don't be surprised if you see this man go off this year earlier than expected. Not just in the punt return game, but I mean as a receiver. The way Lamar Jackson plays football, they always talk about his ability to get outside of the pocket. I'm not sure if he's had the guy who's had as much shake as him. Now, taking nothing away from Zay Flowers, they've got a lot of similarities. But if you have to roll coverage towards Zay and you go the opposite way, then you don't have anybody really breaking back to the ball. So I think that, man, even getting them on the field together with Lamar Jackson in the scramble drill, you saw what he does. Like the biggest play of his career was basically a scramble drill, getting open and making a big time play. I think Lamar Jackson is licking his chops like, bro, I got another one like Zay. So I think his route running ability is off the charts, faster. A lot of people felt like he was quicker than he is fast, but when you're still 4.4, you still got 4.4 speed and you're quicker than you are fast. How quick are you? I just think this is a match made in heaven. I think it's another opportunity for Colorado to hang their hat on their evaluation. Getting Lajohntay Wester, knowing that you had a guy who's gonna come in and help Shedeur, another NFL, and being able to catch the ball from Shedeur, who in early returns has already proven himself to be better than his draft status. But we're not gonna harp on that. Another NFL quarterback being able to do it at that level. Also, having and Coach Steph Brown, my man, who is his pre-draft wide receiver coach. He actually had Jimmy, and you can go check out that interview if you haven't. Check out the playlist after this. Subscribe to the page. Go to the playlist. You'll see I interviewed Steph Brown, who also ran his draft day, his draft script at the Pro Day in Colorado, the showcase. Steph said, "Man, what people don't realize about these guys is they knew Travis Hunter was there and still went and made a name for themselves. The Biletnikoff was there, and you still went and still got off. What does that say about him?" I said, "Wow, you're right." So when he goes to Baltimore and he's already there, expect no fear. And no, I didn't like the article that Todd McShay put out about Shedeur Sanders, the report that he got from the Giants that he put out. I didn't like the timing of it at all. But I have to agree with that article he put out about Lajohntay. Like, I can't just operate in a vacuum and say, oh, everything he says is wrong. He was spot on. Because when he said that Lajohntay Wester is going to get in that Ravens wide receiver room, look around and say, well, I can play with these guys. The funny part about it is, I don't think there is a wide receiver room in the NFL today that Lajohntay Wester is going to walk in and say, I can't play with these guys. He's that talented. He's that skilled. He's that confidence. He's that guy. All right, guys, that's my vote. That's my time. I appreciate y'all. If you can, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Support me by following me on Twitter at Dukesthescoop. Follow me on Instagram at Dukesthescoop. Hit the like button. Become a member. Support the people that support me. No Sauce Smokehouse. Support them, man. They brought me a plate of food. If you saw me on the morning run with my dogs, Uncle Neely and Chico, you saw I couldn't put the plate down. So support those guys and also support today's sponsor, MDJ Originals. All right, man. I appreciate y'all for sure.